Good morning, everyone. It's 9:20, so we have a start. Welcome to Enterprise Cloud Native is the new normal. It's a bit of an experiment. I hope you're all awake. If not, let's play some Cloud Native buzzword bingo, okay? You have two possible answers. Oh yeah and oh no, okay? So let's try that. Kubernetes. Oh yeah. Microservices. Oh yeah. Docker. Oh yeah. Monoliths. Oh no. Huh? Prometheus. Oh yeah. FC St. Pauli. Oh yeah. Waterfall. Oh no, huh? GitOps. Oh yeah. CI/CD. Oh yeah. REST APIs. YAML. Oh no, huh? CloudEvents. Oh yeah. Serverless. Oh yeah. ContainerDays 2019. Oh yeah. So thanks. If you like this, my name is Leander. I'm from ContainerDays. I work there. I'm a principal software architect. If you like it, come to our booth. Tell me. If you didn't like it, come also to our booth and also please tell me, okay? So why am I here? 1996. This is when I studied computer science. In 2000, I graduated as a master in distributed systems. So Corba, RPC, DCOM, those technologies hardly anyone knows anymore. Maybe the old ones, okay? 2009, I started working for ContainerDays. 2015, well, this is where my cloud native journey began. AWS, Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, Mesosphere, DCOS, playing around with Kubernetes and all that. And in 2019, this year, I can proudly say that almost all my projects within German enterprises I'm responsible for, they run on cloud infrastructure, and we're in the process of migrating them to microservice architectures. We run on OpenShift and all that. Everything could be good, right? So why, yeah? So this is here what Simon Wardley says. We're right here, 2016, 2019, to become seen as the new normal in the majority. So we're there with the cloud. But for some reason, I always meet those two guys here, right? Usually they don't, well, they're not named Waldorf and Statler in that case, but they're always like, oh yeah, those microservices, they don't work, and the platform is too unstable. Hey, should we go back to the old days? Yeah. Why is that? Well, of course, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? Not everything is perfect, okay? And according to Gardner, we're entering this trough of disillusionment, right? And that's normal, right? If there's more adoption of technology, of course there's more failure, right? But should we turn back? And I say no. Let's look forward. Let's look at a few things I think we can improve and we should improve, right? First of all, don't do this, okay? Don't think that, you know, splitting up your monoliths into a few microservices and then sticking a synchronous REST API between them, okay, this is not cloud native application architecture. This is a distributed monolith, okay? And it's not loosely coupled, right? Because you have a synchronous REST API between them. So I think microservice architecture, it needs one thing, and that's the domain concept, right? I'm sure you all heard of domain-driven design, right? So if not, make sure you study that. And one thing I find really helpful is a technique called event storming. Who has heard of event storming in here? Yes, excellent, right? And event storming is fun, right? It's an interactive method to kind of storm out the business process, and based on the business process, you can then do a functional and a technical refinement and identify those ubiquitous, bounded contexts, right? So if you have those bounded contexts, you then can model your microservices, and I'm pretty sure you will have a decent architecture of your system. Also, who knows those here? The 8 fallacies of distributed computing, super old. 1994, I think, the first fallacies, and in 1997, the 8 came there, okay? If you don't know them, make sure you know them, because they have implications on the way you have to design a system and the way you have to use certain technique, okay? Well, unfortunately, we don't have time to go through all of them. Just a few. The network is reliable, and we all know, of course, it isn't, right? The network is not reliable, right? What we could do is, like, you know, we could have like circuit breakers and retry. They are definitely an option, but I don't think they're the solution to the problem, right? If you need circuit breakers, please don't build them into your microservices anymore. Use something like service meshes, for example, okay? Istio, Linkerd, there's this new service mesh interface available now, so do that. Even better is, please study event-driven architecture, okay, for really loosely coupled system, okay? So REST APIs are not the only option. So how about some messaging? Of course, this raises a few new challenges, right? Protocols, delivery guarantees, message encoding. There are numerous CNCF projects that address exactly event-driven architecture, okay? So have a look at CloudEvents, have a look at the open messaging broker. Thanks, 10 minutes. Okay, so this is how we can address the network is reliable. Latency is 0. Well, of course, latency is not 0, right? You always have latency in a network. Network calls are not instant. And of course, you have this dreaded N+1 problem. This is why I don't like REST APIs anymore, right? You have this get customer, and then for this customer, you have to get his 10 orders or something, okay? That's 11 calls, right? With latency. So we can be smarter than that, okay? There are several alternatives to REST. GraphQL, for example, efficient binary protocols like gRPC, for example, okay? They make things better. Study backend for frontend and API gateways. Also here, what you can do here is like server-side data aggregation, okay? So aggregate all the data on the server side and make exactly one call to your API, okay? That saves a lot of latency. Inversion of control, use publish-subscribe mechanisms, server-sent events, WebSockets, local storage, a lot of options to make things better. The network is secure, as we all know. Well, of course, it's not secure. So this is a huge topic, deserves probably a talk on its own. So here I brought you 2 really good books you should definitely read. The first one is for free. You see this one here, the Secure Microservice API. It's 40 pages. It's a good read on the toilet. Yeah, but seriously, what they propose is a layered approach to security, okay? And they give you a good overview how you can secure your applications on different layers, on the network layer, on the platform layer, on the application layer, and on the transport layer, okay? Use distroless base images if you have not used them before, okay? So this is kind of the smallest, most secure image, which only contains, seriously, like your application and maybe the runtime if you're in a Java world, for example. Okay? Compliance is an important concept. There's some really interesting stuff happening here with GitSec, so Git security, and FileLake. Come to our booth if you want more details on this one. Topology doesn't change. Well, of course it does. We're in the cloud. Topology changes all the time, okay? So what can we do here? Again, have a look at Cloud Native API gateways for some good location transparency. And please test your application regularly, right? If it should be anti-fragile and if it shouldn't break, then, well, the good old chaos monkey. And the CNCF has a separate, well, area on the landscape already, okay? So, of course, there's a Netflix chaos monkey. There's a project called KubeMonkey. There's a chaos toolkit. There's a tool called Gremlin, okay? So make sure you have a look at those and incorporate those chaos tests into your CI/CD pipeline, maybe. So do this regularly. There's one administrator. Well, of course there isn't. Every one of us should be responsible, right? Who's doing DevOps or thinks he's doing DevOps, right? A few hands, yeah? And if not, and if you're kind of at the beginning of the DevOps journey, make sure you define your DevOps topology, right? I show you in a minute what that is, okay? So choose the right DevOps topology, define the roles, define the responsibilities that everyone knows what to do, okay? Don't change anything manually on the platform, okay? GitOps is the secret here, okay? All changes should be versioned. All configuration changes, like your code, everything should be in Git, okay? And have a CI/CD pipeline or a tool such as vFlux to then, apply the changes to the configuration, to the cluster, okay? No manual changes anymore. Here are the DevOps topologies. It's a super cool site, okay? So if you're at the beginning, make sure here, what they do here, they list a few antitypes. I think overall there are 7 antitypes, and they list, 9 possible types how to implement this. Okay, so if you have a Dev and Ops collaboration or the fully shared Ops responsibility model, or maybe your company is more of a site reliability, DevOps model type, right? what they do on the site is kind of explain the preconditions for each of those models. So look in your company, look in your team, then look here at the DevOps topologies, and then choose the right topology for your team and for your company. I think another important bit is we need to improve our cloud native developer experience, okay? I mean, we have YAML, we have Docker, we have Kubernetes, we have so much stuff to do as a developer, right? There's so much complexity there, and I think things need to get easier. Here's a cool picture from DataWire, okay? And my personal preference is stay local as long as possible. Don't develop in the cluster. Stay local on your computer and then go into the cluster. Of course, it has a few downsides. A really cool tool here is this, the little penguin there, this telepresence. And this is awesome stuff, right? You can develop your microservice locally, and all the rest is already in the cluster. And using a bidirectional envoy proxy setup, what they can do is the cluster services can talk with your local microservice, and your local microservices can talk to all the infrastructure that's deployed in a cluster, okay? So give telepresence a go. I think it makes life a lot easier. There, of course, is a lot more, right? The rise of the IDE, there are tons of plugins coming up. Google Cloud Code, for example, there are OpenShift extensions. If you want to debug a running pod in a Kubernetes cluster, have a look at Squash. Make your inner development loop faster with a tool like Scaffold. So there's so much happening on this developer experience improvement. Make sure you improve there to make your cycle faster. Serverless, I guess it's the next logical evolution in cloud-native software development, right? Because it takes away all this server management, yeah? So here's a lengthy definition. I'm not going to read it. The slides I'm going to be shared later anyway. But it does not require server management anymore, okay? All you say is, well, I need a table space in a database, and here is my piece of code. Please deploy my piece of code and run it resiliently. Function as a service is one piece of serverless, right? So functions are the preferred serverless application programming model. Why are they? Well, functions ideally stateless, okay? A function does not have state. Who knows the EVA-Prinzip from the Germans? Eingabe, Verarbeitung, Ausgabe. That's a function, right? Data comes in, you process it, you spit some data out, okay? Highly scalable, no state, super. Serverless interactive landscape. So the CNCF has a new serverless landscape now. Have a look here. There are tons of platforms, hosted platforms, installable platforms. Have a look at Knative, super hot. I'm sure you heard of it. Riff is a super young project, definitely worth a look at. Kümer, mega serverless platform backed by SAP as far as I know. Fission, OpenFN, Kubeless, Nuclear, OpenFast, OpenWhisk. There's so much happening there. So the whole serverless place is moving super fast. Okay, so in a nutshell, slice and model your cloud native application based on domain concepts, okay? This is super important. Event storming is a proven method. It's a fun method. It's worth investing 2 or 3 hours to know if your application design is right. Know the 8 policies of computing. Get your head into cloud-native API gateways and service meshes. Security by design, continuous security, continuous compliance. They are a complex but important topic, especially in an enterprise context. Optimize your cloud-native developer experience. I can only stress that very much, and get your head into serverless. If you do all this, then our cloud-native future is super bright. I think we all need shades when we sit in front of our computer. If you need a cloud-native nerd shade, the weather is nice, come by our booth. If you need a job, come by as well, and thank you.